This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories, and welcome to my review for the first two episodes of The Bad Batch, titled Aftermath and Cut and Run. And going into Aftermath first, I think that was a very good episode and a strong start to the series. And to quickly say, Cut and Run was another good episode that did a lot of good world building, but I did enjoy episode 1 more. Now let's go in depth to both episodes. Okay, so starting with Aftermath and going over everything in that. It was a very fun and enjoyable episode that set everything up. It was amazing to have it start in the classic Clone Wars style, with everything but the theme appearing, with the logo burning away to the Bad Batch one, and having a voiceover by Tom Kane, who sadly will not be able to be doing voiceovers anymore because of some injuries he had, and I mentioned that in my previous video. And continuing on, we go to a planet, and it's in the middle of a battle. I can't remember the planet's name right now, and I don't feel like looking it up. But we're in a battle where Master Depa Billaba is being pinned down by separatist forces, and her apprentice, Caleb Doom, comes in to be able to help her and tells her that the reinforcements have arrived, but it's only 5 clones. Where the Bad Batch arrive and are able to easily destroy the separatist forces, and we then go to the clones going to the Jedi and other clones, and they finally discuss what they should do and press on the attack before separatist reinforcements arrive. They do agree, and Caleb goes with the Bad Batch, but at that moment, Order 66 is given, and Master Billaba dies, but the Bad Batch don't execute the order, but Crosshair does try, and ultimately Hunter lets Caleb escape, reporting him to be dead, but that is quickly figured out by Crosshair that Hunter lied, and they go back to Kamino, where they realize that the clones are being acted really odd and different. They go to their barracks and eventually go to a massive assembly of clone troopers, where Palpatine declares himself Emperor, and that the Republic will be reorganized into the First Galactic Empire, as shown in Revenge of the Sith. And now, things have begun to change. In the hallway outside, they meet a young girl named Omega, who works for the Kaminoans, and they then go to the mess hall to eat, where they fear that an Imperial has come to assess the clones, and many of the clones still under the control of the inhibitor chip think that it's great that they're finally going to be getting some structure and oversight, but Bad Batch is starting to be concerned, and Omega returns to sit with them, surprising the Bad Batch since they're not very popular among the clones. But shortly after, a few clones arrive and start to insult the Bad Batch, which makes Omega throw food at them. The clones go to confront them. Hunter is able to temporarily calm things down, but Wrecker does decide to start a big fight that has most of the clones in the mess hall fighting with the Bad Batch until Echo is knocked out. We don't really know who won the fight or if it was just broken up, but they now go to the medical facility where Echo is having some PTSD because he was experimented on by the Separatists, but Omega is able to help calm him down as she's in the facility. But Echo does reveal that before he was knocked out, he saw Tarkin was there, and they're eventually called in almost immediately after to go do a trial where Tarkin decides to switch out the droids that are firing stun blasts to ones that are firing live rounds, injuring Wrecker, but they are able to succeed in it, and Tarkin still questioning their loyalty and the fact that one of them, most likely Crosshair, filed a report that they did not execute Caleb Doom, and he was able to escape, went to the fact that he had to put him on a mission to go kill separatists on Onderon, but he quickly realized that it is just some refugees with Saw Gerrera, who does not want to accept Palpatine's rule and wants to fight back against him because he knows that Palpatine will not be a fair ruler and does not like that the new empire has been created. Saw Gerrera is elected by Hunter, and Crosshair is very furious at Hunter for not following orders, but they soon realize they're being watched by a probe droid, and think about Omega's warning before they left, which she told them that they should not return to Kamino, but Hunter decides they have to, especially when Tech reveals that Omega is another enhanced clone, so they do return, but are almost immediately captured, put in prison, where Crosshair is taken, and the signal of his inhibitor chip is amplified and is used to control him fully under the Imperial rule, and the rest of the Bad Batch are able to escape, but get into a shootout with Crosshair, and ultimately are managed to escape with the help of the Kaminoans, and decide to go towards the planet of Seleucami to meet up with an old ally, which brings us into the next episode, Cut and Run. In this episode, they go to Seleucami and meet up with Cut Lawquane, a clone deserter that they have met before, and are good friends with both him and his family, and they do realize that they need to figure out how to go undercover and avoid detection. He does give them advice to try to find something else to do that isn't drilling military service, instead of trying to be soldiers, but there are some problems that do happen, with Cut realizing he has to get off Seleucami because he is a deserter, and with the Imperials becoming more and more suspicious of people, they will realize that he is one. So the Bad Batch do agree to help him, and at the same time, Hunter begins to question if he is the one that's fit to raise Omega because she did get into danger and was nearly killed by a Nexu, but he usually isn't sure what to do. He does want Cut to take her with him and help raise her with his family, but they do eventually go, and Omega is proving herself when they create fake change codes. Ultimately, Hunter does explain to her that he wants her to go with Cut and his family because he thinks that she will have a better chance to have a normal childhood. And as Echo and Tech try to unimpound their ship, since that's how they got into the place to get the chain codes, Omega is going with them, but ultimately decides that she has to go with Hunter and she needs to be with the Bad Batch because she sees them as her family and would rather be with them than with the Lawquanes. And they ultimately get a final escape of the Bad Batch as they try to go on and continue to see what they're going to do with the rest of their lives, and possibly even meet up with Captain Rex, who Cut revealed earlier, met up with him in the day before and were able to warn him, which made him want to escape, meaning that this happens after the episode that ended the Clone Wars, and it almost definitely confirms that Darth Vader has already been murdered on Mustafar, because I believe that, at least to me, the scene of Rex having his inhibitor chip should probably be in line with the scene of Vader being put into his suit and Padme giving birth. I just feel like that would be a really fitting way for it to happen. But I could be wrong about that, but I still feel like, no matter what, it's almost certainly confirmed that Revenge of the Sith has finished at this point, and they're guaranteed to meet up with Rex, since we have seen them with them in the trailer. And I would like to say what I think of the show so far. It was amazing. I think that opening montage was so good. I love that Tom Keen voiceover and wish they would do it from now on, but it is not possible. It is what happened to the actor, and I kind of wish they did have it more in the style of the Clone Journal, like in the original Battlefront 2, where they have really one of the main characters each episode kind of putting in a journal entry. Maybe it's Hunter every time, maybe it isn't, but more than that, that'd be performed by D. Bradley Baker, since he voices every main character besides Omega, and all of the rest of the clones who are antagonists in this, since they have their championships in, besides a few exceptions like Rex and likely Wolf and Gregor, unless they have the way that they remove it in this series. And looking at everything overall, I'm going to just go over the two episodes and my thoughts on them because they're so closely linked. And I think it's very interesting to see how the change literally happened overnight with the clones becoming different people, the earliest stages of the rebellion beginning, new imperial laws like chain codes, and tracking of ships, and so much more happened. It's just really surprising that Palpatine was able to do it this fast, because if you think of it, even in the best circumstances, if they were to go from a country on Earth to a dictatorship, it feels like the changes will not feel immediate and would likely happen over time, maybe over like a year or two, but as that could be over the period of a few days to a few weeks at the most. I also think that the Bad Batch has done a very good job, and they're being expanded out much more than they were in that original arc, because in that, they just kind of felt like they had one type of personality, but they're definitely becoming more well developed, with the exception of Echo, since he was already a pretty well developed character over multiple arcs in the Clone Wars, but they did seem to have, for the rest of them, sort of one kind of personality, and that's kind of the same with Crosshair and Tech for now, but Hunter and Wrecker definitely have seemed to change in a little bit, which is being kind of the leader and the strong but dumb guy, definitely being more fleshed out characters, and I do like Tech being the smart guy, and it doesn't feel as forced as Wrecker's personality, which Wrecker was the one I kind of had a problem with in that original arc, but I still think they're all done well. I can't wait to see what Crosshair does to continue on, and it is interesting that we're going to have the chance to see everything from the perspective of someone who is still loyal to the Empire, even if it is forced. I think that Omega is a good character and is enjoyable, and her main difference between her and someone like Ezra is the fact that she is sort of acting her age and based on her experiences. Because if you think of it, Ezra kind of acted a few years younger than he was supposed to be. He was around 13 to 15 in that starting episode. I can't remember the exact age. And he was 18 or 19 by the time the show ended. But when watching it, it was crazy to think that someone who had to raise himself and lost their parents at a young age would act like someone who was 8 or 9, especially if they did have plenty of experiences with different things. But it does make sense for Omega since she was confined to being in a metal city on Camino, where she was fully surrounded by water and nothing else, especially if she is an accelerated clone, which means that she's really only the age of 4 to 5, because that's how long she's been alive for, but she physically has the body of an 8 to maybe 10-year-old, really depending on it, because she isn't that old, but she does act her age. I think that's a major part. I don't think it feels very off for someone like Ezra, as I said before, to be acting like an 8-year-old or maybe a 10-year-old, but that feels totally normal for Omega, who is an 8 or 10-year-old, to be acting like an 8 to 10-year-old. And I really just like it all. I like Tarkin. It definitely shows how he was immediately changing, but also I think that we technically haven't got to that last scene in Revenge of the Sith yet that he appeared in, because he comes in almost immediately after Palpatine's speech, which seems to be broadcasted live. And when you start to think about it, there's no way for all the events of Revenge of the Sith to finish up, because there's still about maybe a third of the movie left from Palpatine declaring the Empire, including the Jedi planning out their attack on Palpatine and Vader, and everything that happens after it. But I do think that this scene has to take place before it because of those reasons. And there's almost no chance, because by the time he is arriving there, it probably is the battle on Mustafar is just beginning. The same with the battle in the Senate. And since that's happening, at that point, Anakin as Vader has not been put into the Vader suit yet. So there's no way for that scene to have happened yet, since Vader is in the suit. And it seems that all Venators have had all colors removed from them. So we know that it has to take place at least a few weeks after. And since it seems that he hasn't left Camino yet, then we know that scene hasn't happened yet. So essentially, the first episode goes through most of the events of Revenge of the Sith, possibly even the ones where Luke and Leia are dropped off with their new homes. But the only scene that hasn't taken place yet is the scene where Palpatine, Vader, and Tarkin look at the new Death Star being built. And honestly, that may even take place a few years down the line, and even happen after Vader finds Ahsoka's lightsaber, because they do have to build the frame, and I don't know how far they went in. I don't remember. I haven't read Catalyst in a while. I didn't know they were at the beginning stages of it at the end of the Clone Wars, and don't think they went that far in to be able to build that much of the Death Star, but I could be wrong. And that's really it. I just really enjoyed this episode, and I'm just trying to figure out a few things. And I do think there's some interesting information in it to be able to put a time between the Bad Batch arc and Revenge of the Sith, which we can go over in another video, trying to figure out exactly how much time took place over Revenge of the Sith, between that and different episodes of the Clone Wars, try to figure out how long Padme was pregnant for, because it's so hard to figure out how much time happened over that movie. Just like The Empire Strikes Back, many people think that it takes place over a few days, and some think a few weeks, and others it takes place over months. So I'm going to try to figure that out, because I think there's a very good piece of evidence in this episode for that. But that's really it. I'm so excited for next week's episode. Starting either next week or the week after, I'll start putting these together a little bit better edited. I'm just tossing some Battlefront footage over because I do have a bunch of schoolwork to do right now. But after next week, I'm basically done with school. And the week after that, I will be kind of out of town, but I will get a chance to record and be able to edit after that. So that'll be a little better, but don't expect it just to be a bunch of Battlefront footage. I will try to edit it better for the next episodes, which has been confirmed to 16. I saw that through a few other sources, but didn't see the direct source, so that might be wrong. But from what I heard, it sounds right since it's been so many people who said it, and I really am excited. So the vast majority of these will have edited images in. Just the first 2 or 3 episodes that I release won't. And I'll see you in the next episode of Legends and Theories. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please like the video, leave some comments, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends. And may the Force be with you.